All right, we're gonna go over chapter 8, section 2, Law of Cosines. You guys will be given the standard and alternate form of Law of Cosines, okay? Now, when do we use standard? When you're given an angle. So when you're given side, angle, side, you're gonna use standard form, okay? You don't necessarily have to memorize these, but you do have to know how to use them. And when you're given side, 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 all your sides, you're going to use the alternate form. It's the same formula, just written in a different way, okay? And again, when you're given all the sides, you're going to look for the largest angle first. And in order for you to determine what the largest angle is you have to use the sides. So we also have to remember where our A, B, and C go, our angles and our sides. So it helps to draw it just so you could find what you're missing. All right, looking at example 1, okay, it says solve the triangle round to the nearest hundredth. I'm just going to go ahead and draw my triangle and see what I have. Again, does not have to be perfect. Here's A, B, and C, and my sides are on the other side, okay? So just matching them up. Right here, I have my A's, I have my B's, and I have my C's, okay, just so we know. Now I'm just going to label what they gave me. A is 8, B is 19, and C is 14, okay? They gave me all my sides, so I'm going to use the alternate formula. Now, you can flip back and forth because, again, we are providing you with the formulas. But looking at it, I have all my sides, so I want to first find the largest angle. Which one would my largest angle be? It would be B because that's my largest side. So I'm going to go ahead and find angle B first. And because I'm finding angle B first, I'm going to be using the formula with B, the capital B. So I'm going to go ahead and write it for you. It's cosine B equals A squared plus C squared minus B squared over 2AC. Okay, again, this is provided to you, so you don't have to memorize it, but I'm just writing it so you don't have to flip back and forth. Okay, let's go ahead and find angle B by plugging in what we have. So just writing it as cosine B equals, I'm going to have 8 squared plus 14 squared minus 19 squared over 2 times 8 times 14. Do it in steps. Try not to plug everything in at once. All right, if you plugged in the top correctly, you should have had negative 101 over 224. Okay. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this so it looks better. I have cosine B equals negative 101 over 224. And keep in mind, I'm solving for my angle. So when I'm solving for my angle, I have to use the inverse. Okay, I have to use the cosine negative 1. So now I'm plugging in cosine negative 1 times negative 101 divided by 224. If you plugged it in correctly, your answer should have been, this is for angle B. Oops, let me get a pen. Angle B is going to equal 116.80 degrees. All right, so this should have been your answer for angle B. If you want to write it in, you can. No, it's going to have to be a little small. This is 116.8. So with law of cosine, you only have to use it once. Okay, you only have to use it once to find a pair. What do I mean by a pair? Now I have angle B and side B. All I have to do now is use law of sines. Okay, so we went over law of sines last class. So let's go ahead and use law of sines to try and find an angle. So because I'm finding an angle, I'm going to put my angles on top. So looking at it, I'm going to have sine 116.80, or you could just put 0.8 over 19. So I'm using the pair that I have, and let's go ahead and try and find A. Angle A. So I'm going to set it equal to sine A over 8. Okay, so again, you only have to use law of cosine once to find a pair, which I did. And now I'm just going to use law of sines to find another angle and then solve for my last angle. So that's all you have to do. So go ahead and cross multiply. You're going to end up with 8 times sine 116.8 equals 19 times sine angle A. Now, solving this, I have to go ahead and get A by itself, so I have to first divide by 19 on both sides of my equal sign. And then because I'm solving for my angle, I have to use, like we did before, when you're solving for your angle, you have to use the inverse. So I have to use sine -1 times 8 sine 116.8 divided by 19. Okay, go ahead and plug that into your calculator. If you plugged it in correctly, again, be careful with the parentheses here. Do your top first and then do your bottom. This is going to be 22.08 as angle A. So angle A equals, and don't forget it is in degrees, 22.08 degrees for angle A. So again, you could just label it inside the triangle. This is 22.08 degrees. Now put the degree sign up here. And then how would I find angle C? This one should be pretty easy. Good. All I'm going to do is add all my angles and then subtract it from 180. So the last thing I'm trying to find is angle C. Let me get a darker green. Angle C, I'm going to add my 116.80 plus 22.08. If I add it correctly, it's going to be 138.88, and I'm subtracting that from 180. So if you subtract from 180, angle 3 or angle C is going to be 41.12 degrees. So 41.12 degrees. And if you want to look at your sides and your angles, it should kind of be in the same number order. What do I mean by that? My largest side should have the largest angle. My smallest side should have the smallest angle, just to kind of estimate that I did it correctly. So you can always check it that way if you want to check yourself, or just make sure it makes sense. All right, looking at example number 2, they are giving us one angle. So I'm going to use the standard form to find a pair. Remember, you have to find a pair using law of cosine, then you can use law of sine. So which formula are we using? I'll write it down, but I'm just going to go ahead and draw my triangle. Again, you don't have to, but I want to do it just to make sure I know what I'm finding. I have A, B, C, lowercase a, lowercase b, lowercase c. A is 25 degrees, B is 9, and C is 12. So all I have to do is find angle C, angle B, and side A. And again, just so you remember, A is with A, B is with B, and C is with C. So I'm going to go ahead and try and find side A. So the formula, or the standard form I'm going to use, is A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. And again, you are going to be given those forms, standard form and alternate form. The only reason why I use this one is because I'm trying to solve for A, so I want to put A first. Okay, so I'm trying to get this pair in order for me to solve the rest. Okay, so yeah, I want to try and get this pair in order to find the rest. So I'm trying to solve for A, and I wanted to use A, so A has to be by the equal sign. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in what we have. I don't know what A is, so I'm just going to leave it as A squared equals 9 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 9 times 12 cosine angle A, which is 25. All right, please do not just plug this entire thing into your calculator. You cannot do that. Okay, do it in steps. So first thing I'm going to do here is solve this part, then this part. Okay, you cannot combine that entire thing. So go ahead and plug it into your calculator. 9 squared plus 12 squared is going to give you 225 minus 2 times 9 times 12. You're going to get 216 cosine 25. All right, I'm going to leave it like this. Equals A squared. How do I get rid of a squared? I square root it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to square root everything. Okay, and I could type everything into the calculator from here. The only reason why I didn't want you guys to plug everything in is because if you're already rounding here, your answer is going to be like double rounded. So I need you guys to round at the very end. So if you plugged it in correctly, your side for A, this is side A. Remember, it's not angle A. A is going to be 5.41 because we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and label that just so I have it. A is 5.41. And now I can use law of sine to solve for my angle. So I have a pair. I'm going to write that pair. Remember, I'm finding my angle, so I'm going to put my angles on top. I have sine 25 over 5.41 equals, let's go ahead and do B. Sine B, I don't know what it is, over 9. And then same thing as we've been doing, cross multiply and solve for B. So cross multiplying, I'm going to get 9 times sine 25 equals 5.41 times sine B. Trying to get that B by itself, I'm going to divide by 5.41 to both sides. And if I'm solving for an angle, I have to use that inverse. So writing it over here, I'm going to have sine -1 times 9 sine 25 over 5.41. All right, if you plugged it in correctly, angle B should be 44.67 degrees. So writing it in, 44.67 degrees. And that would be your answer for angle B. Then all you have to do is find angle C. All right, how would I find angle C? Okay, yep. All I'm going to do is add the two angles and then subtract it from 180. So my two angles, I'm going to go ahead and do it over here. Angle C is 25 plus that 44.67. You should have had 69.67. And then 180 minus 69.67. And if you subtracted correctly, you should have had angle C is 110.33 degrees. And again, if you look at the angles, see if they match with the sides. So angle C, just labeling it 110.33, that means this side should be the largest side. And this side should be the medium, if you want to call it, middle. And then this is going to be the smallest. So if it makes sense, it should be correct. And again, always go back and check your work. All right, now we're going to do area. Okay, Heron's area formula. This is the formula. You will be given this one, but not how to solve for S. So you have to remember how to solve for S. Keep in mind, this is for area. This is for area. And you have to memorize how to solve for S. You will be given the area formula. This will be given, but not how to solve for the S. All you're doing is adding your sides, A, B, and C, and dividing it by 2. And that's what's getting plugged in here for my S. So that is something that you have to remember how to find. So let's go ahead and do the example. It says find the area of the triangle, round to the nearest hundredth. They're only asking us for area. All right, you guys will be given the formula for area, so I'm just going to go ahead and write it at the top. Area equals, let me do a capital A, equals the square root of S times S minus A, S minus B, S minus C. Okay, that is something you're going to be given. But now, how do you find S? S is pretty easy. All you have to do is add A plus B plus C and divide it by 2. Okay, so this is the one you have to memorize. Again, you are going to be given area. So let's go ahead and try and find the area. First thing I have to do is find our S. Okay, I already am given my A, which goes here, my B, which goes here, and my C, which goes here. I have to go ahead and solve for that S. Okay, this is what I'm solving for. So all I'm going to do is add 43 plus 53 plus 72, and then divide everything by 2. You can do it in steps and add the top and then divide it by 2, or you can just plug it into your calculator and you should get 84 for S. Okay, so now that I know what S is, all I'm going to do is plug it in to where all those S's are in my formula with A, B, and C. All right, plugging it in so we could all see what it looks like. My area is going to equal, I have the square root of S, which is 84, times 84 minus 43 times 84 minus 53 times 84 minus 72. I know you guys have a calculator, but do not try and plug everything in at once. Do it in steps, okay? Take your time, do it in steps, because that just leaves room for error. So I would just, do them individually. 84 minus 43, I'm going to get 41. 84 minus 53, I'm going to get 31. And then 84 minus 72, I'm going to get 12. And then I have 84, and everything is being square rooted. Now I'm just going to do what's inside my parenthesis, my square root. I have my radical 84 times 41 times 31 times 12. I know that's a super large number. Okay, so 1,281,168, and then I'm just going to square root at that. So go ahead and plug that into the calculator. If you plugged it in correctly, keep in mind it's asking us to round our answer to the nearest hundredth. Your area is going to equal 1,131.80 9 because you're rounding, and this would be my answer for area.